What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of In the Wild. I'm Rayshawn, and for today's episode, it's going to be really fun because we're talking a little bit about broadening your perspective, expanding your horizons, and travel a little bit. So for today's episode, because as you may already know, college is not just about learning inside the classroom, but taking advantage of all the cool things to learn outside the classroom. So for our first guest, we have LD Newman, who is the Associate Vice President for International Initiatives, and she oversees the IPSO, is what it's called, but the International Postdoctoral Services Office, which helps all of our international students come to campus. So you may have been in class with someone who's international and you didn't even know that they were from a different country. So she helps oversees all of those work to make sure we have international students on our campus. And for our second segment, we have Rachel Morris, who is the Director of Study Abroad, and she's going to talk about all the opportunities for the folks and students who are currently on campus, how you can expand your horizons and get off campus to explore a different country or maybe study away and experience some cool opportunities inside of the US. So I hope you're ready for a really cool episode, because here we go. LD, welcome to In the Wild.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you. And I guess just to get us started here, I feel like you have a really cool job of helping shape some things here at Augusta University. So can you tell us a little bit about your role and what does your office do?
Okay, sure. So the name of my office is the International and Postdoctoral Services Office. And most people refer to us as IPSO. And my staff and I at IPSO manage the responsibility for AU sponsorship for international students who require F1 visa status. Most people don't know this, but American universities must apply to the federal government for permission to enroll students in F1 visa status. So we manage that application process, and through a system called the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System, we assist each international student who requires F1 visa status to apply for their visa, enter the United States, and then enroll at AU.
And I think for those who may be unfamiliar with, I guess, the value that your office provides, like what, I guess, in the context of higher education, like why would you say that would be important as to have international students as well as employees come work for AU?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's a lot of very tangible reasons. One is that international students do contribute to the American economy. They contribute to the economy of the CSRA, certainly. They contribute to the dynamics of the AU classroom. I think those are the kind of the primary benefits that we see in having international students in our community. I mean, they go to our churches, they go to our mosques, they participate in, they go to our grocery stores, they participate in our community activities. They add a dynamism to life in the CSRA. For
sure. And considering how AU does have students, employees from all over the world, what are, just off the top of your head, and I told you I wasn't going to quiz you on anything, but just off the top of your head, like what are some countries where we do have some folks from internationally?
Yeah, okay. So that's all right. I won't quote you numbers, but I mean, I can, for the student population, since that was sort of the focus of our discussion, right now we have 185 international students. The countries currently that are most represented among our international students, I think you'll be surprised. Bangladesh,
okay,
Ghana, Nigeria, India, those are the top countries that we have most represented among our international student community. Now, if you expand that to our international employees, and our office also has responsible for all international staff at AU as well, all the faculty who require visa status sponsorship, then you're going to get a whole lot more countries represented, a lot more folks from India and China, people from Europe, people from South America. So a very, very broad representation from across the world, really.
Yes, all over the world. And I can only imagine, because I've only traveled international like once or twice, moving to a country that is far from home has its challenges. So can you talk a little bit about what your office does to support students or staff as they kind of make that transition into living full-time in another country?
So our primary responsibility is the visa sponsorship process. So, and quite frankly, I think for the typical student especially, running the gauntlet of first getting through the federal government process, applying for a visa at a U.S. embassy or consulate abroad, and then managing to get a flight to travel to the U.S. And I would say many of our students especially have never been to the U.S. before they come here to be international students. They're coming without family, they're coming without friends. That is probably the biggest challenge. I think once they get to Augusta, the next challenge is, where do I live? We're not a big urban area. It's tough to find places to live that are geographically located close to the campus, although downtown is much better than it used to be. I mean, in the number of years that I've been here, I've seen a dramatic change there, all of which I think is much better for our international community, because it's possible to walk from apartments right around the downtown campus, the health sciences campus, to class in the dental college or the medical school or the biomed PhD program. Once we get the student into the institution, once we get them registered through the student exchange visitor and information system, they then become part of the regular student population. So the support systems that AU has need to be available to all of the international student community. But I think the initial settling in things are the biggest challenge, and we guide them as much as we can in terms of, is there transportation available from this apartment complex or that apartment complex? What's the bus system like? It's particularly challenging for students who come with spouses and children, and we do have, because probably 3/4 of our international students are in the excuse me, the PhD programs. So they're not 18, 19 years old, they're married, they have children, and they want their students, their children to be enrolled in school. So that's a particular challenge that we have to provide some support for. Yeah.
That makes sense, and I never thought about that. Students may be coming with their families, and then that's, you know, at different levels to them transitioning and getting settled in, because they're not just thinking of themselves, but other people as well.
Absolutely, sure.
And can you share any like success stories or any meaningful moments for any students that you've worked with that just particularly stuck with you?
Well, I mean, I love to see the person who comes here as an international student graduate from our PhD program, then become a postdoc fellow in one of the research labs, and then within a few years after that become an assistant professor. And in the 25 years since I've been managing the International and Postdoctoral Services Office, I've seen that happen on a few occasions. And it's great. I mean, a lot of people don't stay where they complete their doctorate. A lot of them leave, obviously, to go other places in the U.S. But it's wonderful to see that they can make the transition from PhD student. They're eligible for employment for a period of time after they finish their PhD. Many of them go on to become postdoctoral fellows. We have a significant number of postdoctoral fellows here. Those who then stay, do their research in one of the many research labs on campus, and then eventually do well enough to become assistant professors. They get NIH grants and then go on to have incredibly successful careers. Those are the ones that stand out to me and that remind me that what we do in our office really does benefit not just AU, but really the entire nation in many ways, to produce folks who can contribute as far as something like NIH funding.
Yeah.
So I also have a funny story, if
Okay.
you want to hear this one, which is actually related to me by my sister, who happens to be faculty in the med school. And she was leaving a local church, and it was raining, and she saw a fellow walking down the sidewalk, and she offered him a ride. And this was within a few weeks after the beginning of the fall semester. Turned out he was a brand new PhD student from Ghana.
Oh, wow.
And then they struck up a conversation. Oh, I'm faculty at AU, and so he's still in the PhD program. And I like to think that that little bit of effort initially helped him to decide, hey, this is a great town. I'm happy to be here, and there are people who are willing to help out in silly circumstances like, oh, it's raining. Maybe I should pick this person up and give him a ride. Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
And seeing that you've been here for over 2 decades, what has kept you here and doing this type of work?
Mm-hmm. Great question. I have always had a passion for working with international folks. I grew up abroad, and the founding of this office, the International and Postdoctoral Services Office, came about as a result of some somewhat unique circumstances, and it gave me the opportunity to kind of give AU the circumstances that it needed in order to support the international community that was just beginning to grow. And eventually the International Student Program became part of my office as well in 2013 at the consolidation. But I have a passion for the work. I believe in the value of having physicians and students and researchers from all over the world come to smallish town in Georgia and believe that they can make a difference here, a huge difference.
Yeah, I like to tell people we're medium-sized.
Medium-sized, yes. Thank you. We really are, aren't we? Demographically speaking, we're medium-sized, not small, aren't we?
Yeah, because I feel like, on one hand, you still have like opportunity to connect with people and have that like small community feel, but then on the other hand, we still have some like bigger city vibes sometimes. So I always go with the medium size university, medium size type of city.
Well, we have arts in the heart, which I think is something that is very representative of the fact that we are not just a small town. That we definitely have a broad community here, and you couldn't put together something like Arts in the Heart without a pretty significant size community. Yeah,
and that's literally one of my favorite community events, because being able to see so many different cultures come together for the weekend is so much fun, whether you're a domestic student, domestic like our local, or you're international, coming to Arts in the Heart to see everybody come together. That's always fun to see. And I always like trying to find new artists to like buy some of their art too and support our artists and whatnot. So how would you say maybe for our domestic students, like maybe how they could support our international students? What would that look like from your thoughts?
Well, I mean, actually, the simplest thing is just to reach out to somebody in the classroom, strike up a conversation. I think just like the situation with my sister picking up the fella, coming out of church that day, you meet people and suddenly you discover, hey, we have a lot in common, or gosh, we don't have anything in common, but I sure would like to learn more about who you are and where you come from, and why you're here. What is it that brought you to Augusta, and what brought you to AU, and what do you hope to accomplish while you're here? Because in many cases, it's going to be very different from the reasons that the domestic student ended up here, and hopefully create lifelong friendships. I mean, I certainly think that an international student has an awful lot to contribute to the growth of the domestic student. Not that our domestic students haven't had lots of international exposure, because certainly some have, but some have not. And this is a first opportunity maybe for some.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I really enjoyed as my time here as a student, because I come from a small country town that wasn't very diverse. And I always tell people, going into my senior year of high school, our small country school, because we had one elementary school, one middle school, one high school, so all of us really grew up together. And going into my senior year, we had our first international students, and they were from China. And like for all of us, we were so fascinated for so many different ways of like, yeah, I wonder how did you come here? And just trying to get to learn from them for the few months that they were living in our city. It was really interesting. And then coming to Augusta, that's larger, and seeing people that are from different countries, or maybe like you, who have been in lived in a bunch of different countries. It's definitely eye-opening for me. Of like, wow, so many people have a lot of global experiences that I haven't had yet. So for me to not have been an international traveler, getting to learn from them is really fulfilling.
Yeah,
or was
absolutely.
really fulfilling.
Good.
And so going off of that, I have some other more fun questions for you.
Okay.
So starting off, you mentioned that you lived in a bunch of different countries before. Give us your top 3 countries that you've lived in, or you want to go back to spend some more time in.
So I've lived in the Philippines.
Oh, nice.
I've lived in Germany. I've lived in Japan. I've studied and traveled to China on 8 different occasions.
Okay.
I've visited, vacation a number of European countries. While I can still travel, while I'm young enough to make the long flights, I'd like to go back to Asia. I'd like to go back to Japan. Haven't been to Japan since 1960.
Okay.
And it's changed a lot since 1960, so I would definitely like to go back there. I'd like to go back to China. Those would be my top 2.
Top 2? Okay.
I would like to go back to the Philippines. Haven't been to the Philippines since 1979.
Okay.
And it's changed a lot too. But I think Japan and China would be top of the list.
Japan is definitely probably in my top 5 of places that I want to travel to. I haven't been, I haven't left the North American continent, so I'm eager to go really anywhere. But Japan is probably top of my list. I feel like the culture, the style, the art is really cool. So I definitely want to visit Japan.
Japan is in my opinion, and this comes mostly from talking to folks that I know have been there, especially in recent years, is a very easy country for American tourists.
Okay.
A very positive, sort of open, welcoming environment, and that makes it a good place to go if you can't stay forever.
Is there anywhere on your, I guess, vacation or travel list that you want to go that you just haven't had the chance to go to yet?
Yeah, never been to Singapore, never been to Malaysia, never been to Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand. So the whole Southeast Asia region. I definitely want to go there. Taiwan, I definitely want to visit there. Those would be my places.
Okay.
For sure.
I would love to go to Malaysia. That's another
Yeah.
country that I think is very, very beautiful.
Yep.
Okay, so switching, I guess, back to our conversation here. If you had to say just like one thing that you hope every AU student as well as staff can learn either directly or indirectly from being part of, I guess, a part of an international culture here, what would that be for you?
Yeah. I think it would be that we are not our government. None of us is the government of our country. Each of us is an individual person with individual attitudes and experiences, and even people who come from countries that have a more of a sort of group identity, culture. Those folks are not their governments, and when there are differences between countries that are government-based, I don't think that they need to drive our individual relationships, and I hope that people will remember that.
And that makes perfect sense. Well, thank you, LD, for chatting with me. I really enjoyed our conversation. I hope you get to go back to traveling to some of your top countries, and hopefully I'm get to go to some of those too.
Great. I hope you will too.
All right, and for y'all watching, stay tuned because we got a little bit more when we come back. Rachel, welcome to In the Wild.
Thank you.
We are so excited to chat with you a little bit. So, as Director of Study Abroad, can you kind of just give us an overview for those who may be unfamiliar about what your office does?
Yeah, so what we do in Study Abroad is we offer programs for students to participate in and earn course credit while they also travel. So we offer multiple different types of programs. We've got faculty-led programs, independent student travel, where students can find a program. We can help them with that. Yeah, but essentially the main part of it is that you get to travel and earn course credit. So I like to think of us as the fun office on campus.
The fun office, I like that. And also for those who just may be unfamiliar, like who's eligible or allowed to study abroad? What does that look like?
So students, there's a wide variety that can participate. Almost everyone is eligible for study abroad, especially our faculty-led programs. Those typically are geared towards undergraduate students. We do have graduate programs with faculty-led.
Oh, wow.
We do. So like occupational therapy has been running a successful program for about 10 years now. That's fantastic. And nursing usually does a program. And then also we've got our medical students that do study abroad programs, but if they're interested, we can help them find a program. We can help pretty much any student. You just have to be in good academic standing.
Okay, so as long as you're in good academic standing, basically, you'll help them figure out the rest.
Yes.
I love that. So I feel like one of the biggest barriers for students who may want to study abroad is finances and people saying like it might be too expensive for me. How do you, I guess, help students kind of fill that gap with saying like, hey, I don't know if I can afford to study abroad?
That's a great question. So I think that's one of the biggest questions that we get is, the barrier that is the financials. What we do is we do help students navigate that. There's financial aid, so a lot of students have financial aid options for them. They would, of course, we always encourage them to talk to financial aid, but financial aid will cover a lot of the program costs in the sense of like tuition and fees.
Okay.
And then also there are scholarships, nationwide scholarships.
Oh, wow.
That we will help help students navigate that process. We'll even help them through the application process, all of that. And then we don't have much funding in our office, but we have a little bit. And we like to have fun little celebrations. So like for instance, during Halloween, we'll host a table, and usually what we'll do is we'll have a little trivia game, and we raffle off like a $200 scholarship. It's more of an award, but to go towards a study abroad program. So the more students participate and engage with our office, the more opportunities they have for those type of awards. But also something that I like to tell students that if the financials, if they feel like that is their barrier, to come talk to us, because there's so many ways that we can help them through that process. I never want finances to be a barrier for students.
I love that, especially seeing how much you're able to help them kind of throughout the year leading to their trip.
Yeah.
That definitely will make a difference. And I guess this might sound like a silly question, but how do you, I guess, pitch to students the value of going abroad? Like for me, as I was talking to LD earlier, I grew up in a small town and I was a low income family, so didn't really get to travel until I came to college. And so traveling to me just wasn't top of the mind of something that I just knew as like oh, this is something that can enrich your life type of deal. So how do you, I guess, pitch that to students who may say like, oh, is traveling worth it? Is studying abroad worth it?
So a lot of our students, it is so surprising, but a lot of our students haven't been outside of the state of Georgia or South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
The majority of students that participate in our study abroad programs, this is their first time leaving the state, much less getting on an airplane. So part of what our office does is to make them feel comfortable and walk them through that process. But what I try to tell students is, I was a non-traditional student. So when I was an undergrad, I was a single mom, 30 with 2 kids, and somebody told me about study abroad. And never in a million years did I think that would be possible for me. But someone said something to me one time that says, true growth happens outside of your comfort zone. So if students are here and they want to invest in their education and they want to get the most out of it, the best thing they can do is participate in a study abroad program, because that's where they're really going to get that educational experience. So I try to encourage students to push past that initial nervousness and step outside of their comfort zone and do something that they wouldn't normally do. That's usually my go-to with it, but also just letting them know that we're a support system. That's essentially what our office is. So whether it's helping them with their passport, picking a program, seeing what courses work, that's what we're there for, is to help eliminate that hesitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, when you were a student, you also experienced study abroad. So what were some of your favorite memories from traveling?
Oh, goodness. Oh, there's so many.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, so I was so fortunate. I got to go, my first trip ever on an airplane was to the Galapagos Islands.
Oh, wow.
And so that was fantastic. That was a really amazing experience. I went with Dr. Cromer and Dr. Wiley, who lead some phenomenal. They always pick the best locations. But I also went to Ireland. I went to Cuba.
Okay.
And I did the United Kingdom. I did both London and Scotland. And then I did a study away. I did the New York Model United Nations. And I think for me, one of the best experiences was when I went to Ireland. We went on a hike, and It was a really tough hike. I mean, and I'm like 30 at the time, and I've got all these undergrads who are fresh out of high school, so they're hiking, and they're like, I'm trying to keep up. And I got to the top, and I just remember thinking like, wow, the world is massive, and I am so small. But how cool is it that I'm here? And it just really opened up my mind on that trip, how great the world is and how fantastic life is. I don't know, Ireland just does that to you. It's real beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to put Ireland on my list, because Ireland keeps popping up for people traveling abroad. And I believe Iceland is one of the trips for this.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the upcoming trips for
absolutely.
fall and, I guess, the upcoming spring semester?
So we are announcing our programs today.
Okay.
So we will be doing a social media announcement. But this year we have some really exciting programs. So like you mentioned, we have Iceland. So it's for biology students, but it's also for students who are not biology majors.
Okay.
So if students want to get their 1102, their biology 1102, they can participate in the Iceland trip. So non-biology majors and biology majors can get course credit for this. And they will be visiting some really awesome places, from the Black Sands Beach to waterfalls to Viking locations. Yeah, that one's going to be awesome. We've got Greece. Greece is for honors and communication students. So hopefully we'll get some really cool pictures from that one, because it's a photography class.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. So, and then Japan. So Japan for art and film students, that's going to be really exciting because Matthew Bazell is leading that trip. It's Matthew Bazell and Raul Pacheco, and they have both led programs in the past, and students love them. They're fantastic. But they're going to visit some really cool locations. I think those are going to be our top 3 this year.
Okay.
But we have New York, our study away program, and Jamaica and Rwanda for occupational therapy. And we're going to Oaxaca, Mexico for nursing students, and Scotland for nursing students. I think that's all of my trips.
A little bit of everywhere.
Yes.
Okay, so if you were to study abroad again, like really quickly, which country would you go to out of those?
Out of all of those, well, I'm kind of already going to Iceland.
Okay.
So I'm helping with that trip.
Nice.
Since COVID, I actually haven't been out of the country.
Okay.
So I need to get out of the country and see how that process looks so that I can better help students with that. So I will be going on the Iceland program. I'm really excited because it's with Dr. Cromer, and he's fantastic. He's a well-seasoned traveler. But if that were not an option, if I were picking a different one,
okay,
I would definitely go to Greece, 100%.
Greece sounds fun.
Yeah. And I hate to interrupt you, but I forgot we're doing a first-year experience to England and Scotland this year as well. So for our first and second year students, that one would be a really great first out of the country program. Sorry,
No,
I totally forgot about that one.
I mean, look, England and Scotland, add those to the list as well. So as you mentioned before, like there's a lot of people or number of people who study abroad who haven't left the state of Georgia, South Carolina, what would you say, CSRA? Region, I guess. What support does your office have for those first-time travelers of saying, hey, I've never been on an airplane before, I've never had to get a passport or apply for a passport, I just got my license. Like, what does that look like for you guys in helping those like travelers who haven't done it before?
So that's the most fun part, I think, about working and study abroad, is having those travelers or potential travelers who have never traveled before. Because one, even though they're a little bit apprehensive, we get to walk them through every step of the process, which is really fun. And we have Carly King. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Carly.
Shout out to Carly.
Yeah, she's our international education coordinator, and she works with students, and she's fantastic. And what we do is we will give them the information on how to get a passport. We walk them through every step. We also do an advising appointment.
Okay.
So we'll go over any type of questions that they have at that time, talk to them about things like jet lag, cultural adjustments. And that's just one of the many things that we do, because all throughout their timeline, once they sign up for a program, we're there for students. We're offering a pre-departure orientation. We're doing info sessions, that sort of thing. So we try to be as supportive as possible to those students.
So you mentioned like a couple of different things that students might experience, like your hike in Ireland or the waterfalls, things like that. So what does, I guess, the typical study abroad trip look like? Is it them just going to class at a different university abroad, or what does that kind of look like if they choose to study abroad?
Yeah, so we offer multiple different types of programs. Our main programs that we offer, what I consider our bread and butter, are our faculty-led programs.
Okay.
And these are really great for students because they're short-term. So they're usually in between 1 to 2 weeks, and they allow students to continue to take other classes so that they're not, putting a bump in their trajectory to graduate. So they're able to take other classes and still do a study abroad program. Typically, the way that it looks is if it's a spring program, they will take classes throughout the spring and then they travel during spring break, come back, and then they'll have a couple classes. If they do it during the summertime, it's a little bit different because the terms are different, but they'll have a few classes before they leave. They'll travel and they'll come back and have a few classes. Typically with the faculty-led, most of the coursework is done here in country. So that when they travel, they get to do real hands-on learning. So they're spending a lot more time getting that experience in the country, really getting to immerse themselves in the culture. But we do, if students want to spend a whole semester abroad and attend classes at another university, we do help them find programs like that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting how you kind of fit people with whatever they're looking for in a way.
Yes. So one of the things is we get a lot of students who have a very specific mind frame where they think that they have to be a certain major to go on programs. So say you're a communications major. This year we have a communications program, but let's say we didn't. They don't necessarily have to be a communications major to go on these programs. And that's why it's really important to come talk to us sooner rather than later, because the earlier you are in your college career, the more likely we're able to find you a good fit. We can always make it happen, but it's a lot easier for us to find the fit the sooner you come to us. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what would you say just like the overall impact of the global experience may have on a student's career? Like, we know how life-changing it can be for someone to travel internationally for their personal experience, but for, say, their career and their job, because, you know, as college students, that's always at the top of our minds of trying to get into our careers. So what would you say to that?
The best thing a student can do in their college career is participate in a study abroad because it makes them more diverse. Automatically. If you talk to employers, the number one thing that they're looking for is they're looking for cultural and global minded individuals. So by participating in a study abroad program, immediately once you come back, you're already more marketable to employers. Study abroad teaches you adaptability because, you know, things change on a whim when you're traveling and you have to learn to adjust to that change. So students learn that adaptability, they learn about other cultures, but the biggest thing is they learn about themselves and they truly become leaders on these programs, and it really is life-changing for them, and it makes them so marketable when they return.
I believe that for sure. So I have a little fun question for you.
Okay.
So let's just say budget and resources, you have all of it, right? And you had to plan, say, 3 study abroad trips, different locations that we haven't been to yet. Where will we go? I know you have to work with faculty on these trips, but just if you, Rachel, had the sole power to choose.
If I had the power to choose anywhere?
Yeah, just like your top 3.
Top 3. Okay. I really want to do a trip to Switzerland.
Okay.
I think Switzerland would be fantastic. This is a great opportunity for our cyber students.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic. The other one would probably be, I want to go back to Tanzania.
Okay.
We've done Tanzania before, but I really want to add the Zanzibar onto it. So they're able to do Tanzania and Zanzibar. And then, oh gosh, a third one. Ooh, that one's hard.
Anywhere.
I think anywhere off the top of my head. There's so many that's coming to mind. I'm sorry. It's really hard. If I had to pick anywhere, I would probably do Germany. We haven't done Germany in a while.
Okay.
I feel like Germany would be a really good one culturally. Yeah. I really wish somebody would do one to Germany. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Germany, Switzerland.
Yeah.
Tanzania / Zanzibar.
Zanzibar.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty broad
All over
spectrum.
the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I feel like faculty gravitate so much to the United Kingdom and that area, but I want to offer more out of the box option for students, because if they're going to be investing their time and their money, I want it to be worth their while. I want it to be somewhere really cool. Like, I get to say I went to the Galapagos Islands. How many people get to say they've been to the Galapagos Islands? So that's the added bonus, right? Like, you get course credit, you get to travel, but also you get to see these really cool destinations. But it's hard to pick because we have so many cool ones this year.
Yeah, for sure. And so for someone who may be saying like, okay, maybe not this year, but next year, I definitely want to look into it. Like, what does starting early look like for them?
Yeah, so come see us. I always encourage students to come to our office, come talk to us. We don't know, our trips change from year to year. There's a few that stay the same, like we have the New York Model United Nations, Jamaica OT, Rwanda's becoming one that comes every year. But for the majority of them, we have new trips every year. So we don't know those typically until the next summer.
Okay.
So it's hard to tell a student what our faculty-led programs are gonna be. But we can get them started in the process of making sure they've got their passport.
Yeah.
We will have a general idea of what courses will be offered on some of the programs, so what they should take in the fall so that they can go on the spring or summer trip. So the earlier they engage with us, the better.
And what would you say maybe to a faculty member who's like, okay, I'm watching this, obviously I'm not a student, so I can't study abroad and get course credit, but maybe I want to offer course credit. What would that look like for them?
So they repeat that question.
Like if a faculty member wants to host a trip.
To host a trip. Oh, okay. All right, gotcha. Oops, sorry.
You're
Moving all around. I get really excited because for faculty to lead a trip, I love getting new faculty.
Okay.
Because don't get me wrong, love all of our repeat faculty. They're fantastic. But it's amazing to get new faculty because typically those are faculty members that are really engaged with students and have really great close relationships with students. And that's how you can pull those students in. One of the best marketing strategies is for our faculty to talk to their students and tell them, hey, you would be great for this program. So when we, if I had somebody who's interested in studying abroad, come talk to me. I want to help you plan that. That's what our office is here for, is to help support that process.
Well,
I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, you did. And thank you so much, Rachel, for chatting with me about study abroad. You're making me want to study abroad, even though I'm far from a student or faculty member to lead a trip. But
we'll make it happen.
Look, we're going to speak into existence our podcast episode next summer, maybe in Japan.
Yeah, listen, it doesn't matter what the barriers are. We will figure it out. We will get you, we will get a student, we will get a faculty member. We will make it happen. That's what we do.
I love that. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I know I certainly did, to talk a little bit just about how transformative traveling and just having a more global experience during your college years can be. So study abroad is something that I didn't get to do personally, but I definitely wish I did. That's like one of my biggest regrets as a college student, is not being able to study abroad. And as you heard from Rachel, there are so many resources for you guys if you are currently a student to really take advantage of, to get you on maybe your first plane trip or your first international trip. And if you are an international student here, we are so happy to have you. I hope you take advantage of all the resources that will make your transition here on campus, but also in the community, smooth. And if you're somehow watching this and you're not a student yet, we'd love to have you if you're international. So I hope you, like I said, enjoyed this episode. I am hoping that maybe we could do maybe a study abroad podcast episode in the near future. So I'm going to work on that. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Go Jags!